Hare Krishna. So please welcome Her Grace Ragatmika Mataji. So she will be doing the next presentation. Please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya eva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So thank you so much for this opportunity, Prabhuji. I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know once you're able to see it.
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, let me start with a very clear point that I am not eligible to talk on this because I myself have not been able to control my mind 100%. So I am also still learning. So I selected this topic as with the selfish motive of learning how to control my mind. So there is this is a vast topic. There are a lot of content, and there's a lot of learnings for me. And this is more like a collation of whatever I have, I've come across in 20 minutes. I'll try to share whatever I can. Hare Krishna. So let me start off with the shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is from the Avanti Brahmana story, which is part of Uddhav Gita. So in Uddhav Gita, Shri Krishna is telling Uddhav ji the realization of Avanti Brahmana. So Avanti Brahmana, just to give a quick background here, Avanti Brahmana was a rich Brahmana. He used to be a rich Brahmana, and he had some bad habits, and over a period of time he lost everything, and then he became a Tridandi sannyasi. And there were some realizations once he lost everything. And when he became a sannyasi, he had these realizations. And one of these important realization is what I'd like to share here. That and the thing here is when he lost everything, people were ill-treating him, not treating him properly, and they were troubling him a lot. They were making fun of him as a sannyasi. And then he was like, these people are not the cause of my happiness or distress. Yeah, neither are the demigods, my own body, the planets, my past work or time. This is not what is the cause of my happiness and distress, but what is, rather, it is the mind alone that causes happiness and distress and perpetuates the rotation of material life. So you see, that is the power of mind, and that is the impact of mind in our lives. Yeah. So it is so critical for us to really get a hang and really understand of understand what is mind in the first place, what is its nature, and why is it important for us to control it. And then, of course, we are going to also explore how do we control the mind. Yeah. So these are the topics that we're going to cover today. The nature of mind, yeah, and why do we need to control it at all? How do you control it? That's the topic of this presentation. And then what is the result if you're able to control it? So let us begin with the nature. So in Shloka 342, we can clearly see there is a hierarchy defined. Yeah. So mind is right there in the middle. Of course, it's above the matter and the senses, and it is below intelligence and soul. So if the soul is directly connected to the super soul or Paramatma, then everything else falls in place directly. But if that doesn't happen, then it is very difficult. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And the soul is even higher than the intelligence. So you see, mind is right there, but there are, a lot of times mind becomes so strong that it overtakes the intelligence as well. So let's see how that happens. So because mind is, how is the nature of our mind? As we can see in Shloka 634, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramati balavadranam tasyaham nigraham manye vayor eva sudushkaram. It is obstinate, it's turbulent, it's restless. very strong. That's how it can even overtake the intelligence, and it can drag our soul into becoming conditioned, into becoming a conditioned soul, into getting into desires, getting into things, and getting entangled in the material world. So, so as even we have seen in the shloka that Arjuna says it is more difficult than controlling the wind. So this mind, it's so difficult to control. So as Lord Sri Chaitanya says, in today's world, it is only possible to control mind by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the method prescribed is like Savai Manaha Krishna Padara Vindayoha. So one must engage one's mind fully in the fully in Krishna. And by chanting and reciting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And that is one of the most effective and powerful techniques, as also said by, as also shared by, as also kind of by Lord Shri Chaitanya, as he has explained to us. So that's the path set by him. So, but as of now, we are trying to understand what is the nature of the mind. And then, as we can see in this visual, we have seen this visual a number of times, and there are these horses that represent the senses. The reins is representative of the mind, and the person who's holding it, in the blue dress, that's the intelligence, and the person sitting at the back is our soul, that's us. So you can see intelligence clearly has the control, as we can, but that doesn't happen most of the time. It is the mind that takes the control, and it just directs the horses, directs the senses in whichever way it wants based on the desires. So and this is a very clear representative of how the soul is being driven. So soul is just sitting there, and intelligence actually is mind becomes so strong and obstinate that it overtakes intelligence as well, as we have discussed. So what is, now that we have understood the nature of the mind, what exactly is its function? How does it work? How does mind work? And if we look at it as a tool in a machine, I mean, if let's say, let's take a screwdriver. How does a screwdriver work? So we're going to understand how does mind work. So this is also given in the Srimad Bhagavatam and the same reference from the Gita 11:23-43, wherein this is a very powerful statement, and I thought this should be included to understand how does mind work at all. So mind acts as an actuator, right? Now, what does that mean? So you can see that red triangle in the middle, it actually actuates the three modes. It actuates the three modes and actually evolves the different kinds of material activities in different modes of material nature. It activates. How does it do that? How does it do that? So the powerful mind actuates the functions of the material modes from which evolve the different kinds of material activities in the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. From the activities in each of these modes develop the corresponding statuses of life. Now, whether we want to be a wise scholar, or we want to be somebody who wants to work only for fruitive activities, like a worker, or somebody who wants to work as a leader. How does this happen? How does that swabhav develop? That swabhav is developed based on our desires, which triggers at the mind level, right? Mind's desire for sense gratification plus modes actually results in those designations and identification. See, so important. This mind is so critical for us. Yeah. And that is why checking on what exactly my mind is going, what is it desiring? It's so important. Yeah. This is so powerful. I mean, I felt this function of mind. It is, I mean, I can't say it enough, but then this is so important. This like mind's desire, it's the desire for sense gratification plus the modes actually that leads to that attachment as well. Whether I'm a mother, whether I'm a teacher, whether I'm a worker, whether I'm a farmer, whoever I am, right? How does it develop? Because of my desire. Hmm? And adding on to it, with the modes. So that results in identification. How do I get that attachment? That is all based on what's going on in the mind's desire for sense gratification. That is a function of mind. So mind plays such a critical role in what we are doing. Next part, now that we have understood what is what is the nature of our mind, what is the function of our mind, let's now see why do we need to control our mind. Now I think it's pretty clear here that mind plays such an important role in our lives. Definitely we should know how to control it, but our question is, how do we control it? Sorry, why do we control it? Yeah, why do we need to control it? Let's look at couple of more shlokas emphasizing this point. Why do we need to control it? It's clearly given in 6.5 and 6.6. Controlled mind is the best friend. An uncontrolled mind is the worst enemy. So mind can cause bondage and mind can cause liberation. That is the power of mind. Look at that. So all that we are trying to do, the Krishna consciousness, everything, it's all ultimately boils down to that one thing in us, which is that mind, which is causing that, which is the primary reason for bondage as well as liberation. That's why we need to control it. Another reason, without mind control, there is no chance of self-realization. There is no chance of self-realization. So the yoga practices that we are trying to do, that's not possible if we are not able to control our mind. Even if we are able to focus, we are trying to sit in that posture, we are trying to control our breath, but if our mind is elsewhere, it will not lead to self-realization. So this is another reason why we need to control our mind. So next, the main topic was how to control our mind. So here, what I tried to do is I have taken some references from some Srimad Bhagavatam kathas and then derived the shlokas from there. So let's start with the first katha, which was Dhruva. We all know about Dhruva. Yeah, he's a 5-year-old boy, son of Swayambhu Manu. He's a grandson of Swayambhu Manu. The great grandson of Brahma. Uttanapada. He's the son of Uttanapada. And Uttanapada had 2 wives, Suruchi and Suniti. I think everybody, if you're familiar with Dhruva's story, I'll just cut it short. That he just wanted some affection from his father, which he didn't get at the time he wanted. And he got very upset. He got very angry. He went to his mother. Suniti, mother, this is not fair. He started crying. And his mother was like, she was not the fighter types. So she told him, okay, don't worry about it. Just go and do Bhakti of Bhagwan. And whatever you want, you can ask him. So that gave him the direction to go and do Bhakti. So, and then Narad Muni came up to him to first kind of tell him, okay, you're just a kid, you're just a 5-year-old kid. Are you sure you want to do it? He was trying to test, are you up to it? But Dhruva was like, no, I want it. I want a position higher than Lord Brahma. I want that. He had a material desire. Yes, Dhruva had a material desire initially. But then Narad Muni, okay, he was convinced that Dhruva, yes, wants to be a devotee. And he gave him the mantra. And he explained him how you have to do the tapasya. And Dhruva, with utmost sincerity, he did the tapasya for 6 months. Severe tapasya he did, and then ultimately Bhagavan appeared and fulfilled his desires. But then he realized when Bhagavan appeared that this material desire was nothing in front of what I have got now. So he was not very happy with this, that material desire that he started off with, and he said, I am not interested in that. I'm only interested in your devotion. That was Dhruva's request. And but he had to rule the he had to rule the earth for 36,000 years, and after that he went back to Dhruva Loka. So that is the Katha of Dhruva. But what can we learn from Dhruva's story? So from Dhruva's story, we can learn about tolerance, practice and detachment, and withdrawal of the mind. So what does that mean? So let's check it out. So the shloka, how to control mind, 523, we can see, Shaknoti haiva yahasorum prakshadira vimokshanat kama krododbhavam vegam sayukta sasukhi naraha. So before giving up his present body, one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger. He is well situated and is happy in this world. So like Dhruva, he was able to tolerate the urges of his anger. He had his anger with his stepmother, right? Suruchi was his stepmother. Yeah, of course he was angry towards her because she was kind of stopping him from approaching his father. So he was angry. He had these emotions going on, and which triggered him to actually go away and do that tapasya, but he tried to tolerate it. He tried to tolerate the urges. And so we have these urges of these forces of talk, anger, mind, the forces of stomach, genitals, and tongue that have to be controlled. These are the 6 vague, as we say, vegam, kama, krododbhavam, vegam. These vague have to be checked. So by tolerating these initial emotions and desires, he ultimately attained that self-realization. So this was about tolerance. The next part was through practice and detachment. He was far away from the beautiful and comfortable palace. He was not in the palace, right? So he went away and he did tapasya there and practiced that mantra given by Narad Muni. He focused, and he undoubtedly, so the shloka, let's recite the shloka. Shri Bhagavan uvacha asamshayam mahabaho manodurnigram chalam abhyasena tu konteya vairagyena cha gruyate. Lord Shri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So here, Bhagavan is acknowledging, yes, you are right, it is very difficult to curb the restless mind, but you can do it. There are these 2 things that you need to do. One is abhyas, practice, and the other is detachment, vairagya. So, how did Dhruva do this? So, he did abhyas, he did that tapasya, vairagya. If you see, he was like, so in the first month, he survived only, eating some fruits or berries once in 3 days. In the second month, he drank water for once in, he survived on dry grass and leaves once in 6 days. And in the third month, he drank only water once in 9 days. And so on. This way, by 4th month, he was able to control his breath. So much so that by 5th month, he was able to control his mind. Do you know what happened? How did God appear? Why did God had to appear? Because once Dhruva was able to control his mind, he was able to capture Bhagavan in his mind. And he became so heavy. He was doing tapasya on one foot. On one leg, he was just standing on the one leg. And it started going down. It started pushing earth because of his weight, because he became as heavy as the Lord himself. And then the demigods, they got worried. They ran up to Bhagavan Vishnu. What is going on? Bhagavan, please help, protect. What is this boy doing? This little boy, 5-year-old boy, this earth is everything is getting, it's getting imbalanced. Please help. Then Bhagavan said, he's doing my, he's doing my tapa. I have to go and respond to him. I will go. And that's how Bhagavan moves. See, that is the power of Vairagya, Abhyas. Detachment and abhyas. So it was not easy for a 5-year-old boy. Can we imagine? Surviving only on fruits once in 3 days. So it is very difficult. But he did it. So this is the second thing we can learn from Dhruva. And the last thing, the third point was yato yado nischalati manas chanchalam asthiram tatas tato niyam yaitat atmani eva vasham nayet. From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. So here, wherever the mind wanders, niyam yaitad vasham, we have to control it. We have to control it. We have to bring it back. Yato, wherever it goes, we have to bring it back. So what did Dhruva was so determined in his meditation? Even though he was guided by Narad Muni, and each time he was distracted by the emotional desire, emotional pain, and the material desires, he brought it back. He withdrew it and brought it back to that beautiful, to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, of Bhagwan, and focused on the mantra that Sri Narad Muni gave him. And that's how he was able to withdraw and control the self. So this is one example of how we can overcome distractions. So that is about Dhruva. So what are the 3 things we can learn from Dhruva? How do we control our mind? By tolerance, by practice and detachment, and by withdrawal of the mind. So these are the 3 takeaways from Dhruva's story. So we'll move on to the second section, wherein we will see what we can learn from Ambarish Maharaj. I'm sure we are aware of Ambarish Maharaj as well. He was a great devotee of Bhagwan, and we have also seen his detailed description given in chapter 6 by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai, and he has explained how Maharaj Ambarish had engaged all his senses, for the devotion in the devotional services, and what we can learn from Maharaj Ambarish. So just to give a short overview of what happens with Maharaj Ambarish. So as you can see in the picture, we have Durvasa Muni right there. Now we can guess when Durvasa Muni is there, definitely there will be something that will trigger him. He'll get angry. He'll do something. So he got angry. So it was Ekadashi and something happened and he got upset. And he released a demon to attack Maharaj Ambarish. And of course, how can anyone attack Bhagwan's devotee? So Sudarshan Chakra was there at his rescue and it tried to kill. Of course, it killed the demon first and tried to kill Durvasa Muni. And Durvasa Muni, he ran everywhere. He went to Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, but none of them could save him. Why? Because Bhagwan Vishnu told Durvasa Muni, you have tried to attack a devotee. Only he can protect you. Even I can't protect you. Only the devotee can protect you. So Durvasa Muni then went back to Ambarish Maharaj and apologized and said, he was kind of did that Shashtang in front of Ambarish Maharaj, and Ambarish Maharaj was like, please get up, and he did prana, he offered obeisances to Sudarshan Chakra and said, please don't do anything to Durvasa Muni, and I just forgive him, it's okay, he's my guest, and so on. So the Sudarshan Chakra, and then it did not do anything to Durvasa Muni. So that's the story of Maharaj Ambarish. So how did Maharaj Ambarish attain this stage of controlling his senses? See, there is such a big demon in front of him. Still, Ambarish Maharaj did not get, he was not scared at all. He did not run away. He did not, he's not crying, he's not getting angry, whatever. He's just folding his hands and standing. How can that happen? How can somebody be so calm and cool when such a big demon is in front of him? So how did that happen? So let's see. So what can we learn from Maharaj Ambarish? So from Maharaj Ambarish, we can learn 3 things. One is experiencing higher taste. devotion by active sense organs, and karma yoga in Krishna consciousness. So what does that mean? So when we say experiencing higher taste, so how do we control our mind? So one of the ways is Vishayavini vartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavardam rasavarjam raso apiyasya param drishtva nivartate param drishtva higher taste. When our senses are engaged in that higher taste of devotional services, automatically the lower taste doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. For example, if we like to listen to some kind of a music, but if I engage my senses in listening to Bhagwan's lectures related to Bhagavatam or Srimad Bhagavad Gita, or listening to Kirtanas, and I enjoy that, then automatically the taste of listening to Bollywood songs or some other kind of songs, it automatically ceases. So you do no longer feel enjoy that anymore. That happens, and this is my personal experience also, that when we engage ourselves in when we are engaging all our senses, whether it is studying, whether it is listening, shravanam, when we are listening, we are reading, we are doing, engaging our hands. So automatically all other engagements, all other lower level of engagement don't bother us anymore. So that is one way of controlling our mind, engaging our senses for devotional activities, towards devotional activity. That's how you can control. That is one way. And how did Maharaj Amrish do this? Maharaj Amrish, he was in deep devotion to Lord Krishna, gave him a higher taste. So he remained calm, as I had mentioned. He remained calm, even though Durvasa Muni was testing him. Durvasa Muni made him so angry, tried to make him angry, tried to scare him. But Amrish Maharaj did not. It did not affect him at all. He just stood there folding his hands, because he had that shraddha and faith in his devotional service. His mind was completely absorbed in Krishna. Next is about Yada Samharte Chayam Kurmongani Vasarvashaha. This is also a very important way to control our mind and senses. So one is another way, just like a tortoise is able to withdraw its limbs. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects. The moment you feel that, okay, this is not something that I should engage in. Somebody who's an alcoholic, he knows that if he passes through a wine shop, definitely he will have that, right? So why to pass there? Why to go there? I will not go there because I know I may get attracted to it, so I will not go that side. So that is to withdraw your senses from the sense objects. So Maharaj Amrish, he was able, despite being a king, he had access to all kinds of facilities. He had a very comfortable place where he could nicely all the material pleasures were there, but he remained detached, and he engaged his senses in the service of the Lord. Even though he had all the comforts of the best of the world, but still he engaged it in Bhagwan's services. Yeah. So withdrawing our senses, and then tasya pragya pratishtita is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. Now the last and the third way from Maharaj Amrish story is by karma yoga in Krishna consciousness. Yastva Indriyani manasa niyam yar ate Arjuna. And if a sincere person tries karmendriyaha karmendriyaihi karma yoga masaktaha sa vishishyate. If a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga and Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. So how did Maharaj Amrish control his active senses? By he uses eyes in seeing the deity He used his tongue in chanting the Lord's glories. He used his hands in cleaning the temple. He used his feet to walk up to the different holy places. He used his mind constantly meditating on the Lord's lotus feet. So engaged his senses, all his senses is also given in Bhagavad Gita, of course in a different shloka, but we can also refer from there that Maharaj Amrish's life demonstrates how can one control our senses by engaging them in purposeful action. If we are able to control our senses, it is possible to control the mind as well. By engaging them in purposeful action. So that is that we can learn from Maharaj Amrish. Experiencing higher taste, devotion by active sense organs, and karma yoga in Krishna consciousness. So these are the 6 different ways of how we can control our mind, what we can learn from our history that is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, and how we can understand the philosophy and the principles given in Bhagavad Gita. And ultimately, what is the result of mind control? What do we achieve if we are able to control our mind? 627, important shloka. Prashanta manasam yenam yoginam sukamottamam upaiti shanta rajasam brahma bhutama kalmasham. The yogi whose mind is fixed on Krishna verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness and rises above the modes and is freed from all reactions to past deeds. So what is the result? The person fixed, a yogi whose mind is fixed on Krishna verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. Rises above the modes. Shuddha sattva. We have the 3 modes. Sattva gun, rajas gun, tamas gun. He goes up to the Shuddha sattva, which is above the 3 modes, freed from all reactions to past deeds. Another thing that we can learn, this is the last shloka of 2nd chapter. One is liberated and ultimately attains the supreme. So we had read in the initial slides that self-realization is not possible if you are not able to control our mind. But if you are able to control our mind, you can ultimately attain the supreme. One is liberated. Esham brahmi sthitihi partha nainam prapya vimuhyati. It is possible to attain liberation and ultimately attain supreme. So that is the result of mind control. So bottom line is, master your mind. Need to master our mind. That is the main important thing that we can take away. So the little bibliography here for, most of it is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and from Gita Subodhini and Bhagavatam Tales by His Grace Gauranga Darshan Das, Prabhuji. And if there are any mistakes, Prabhuji, please correct it. And if there are anything right, it is all because of the gurus and teachings of our gurus and acharyas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Any comments, questions for Ragatmika Mataji? Okay. I will just say that I am very humbled by all the 3 presentations today. Damodar Krishna Prabhu, Brajlata Mataji, and yourself. It was such a, again, just like I mentioned in case of Damodar Krishna Prabhu, you had the content or the line of thought set. And then you also knew the various places in the scripture from where to pick the points to provide the content and to substantiate it from the scriptures. So that's a very, very good way of making a presentation, a very convincing, a very thoughtful presentation. And what it shows is the mastery over the content
and over the concepts. So you know what you want to say, you know where to find it, and you connect those two. So I just want to say I'm so humbled by all the three presentations. I mean, I already knew, but sometimes, I feel like, oh yeah, I'm the teacher of Bhakti Shastri, and you're all doing, and students, and that kind of thing. But I just am realizing that who am I teaching here? You are all my teachers. You are so, I mean, when I hear from you all, I get to know a little bit more about the depth of your knowledge. And it just leaves me speechless, leaves me very humbled. So, yeah, thank you for giving me your association. Thank you for, I don't know, why you are even, uh, undergoing this course or something. You're already so knowledgeable and applying it in your lives as well. That is also evident. One cannot speak with such conviction without applying it to some extent in your life. So thank you. I really um, liked the presentation. It was very thoughtful. You stitched through the whole concept of what is the mind, the nature of the mind, the function of the mind, why we should control the mind, how to control the mind, and result of controlling the mind. These were all the topics you mentioned. Very nicely stitched. Thank you. It was a very good presentation. And all the three presentations, I'm so happy that I got a chance to hear from such wonderful devotees as yourselves. Thank you. Any other devotees want to share anything? These are all the three devotees showed what are the ways or what are the characteristics of making a good presentation. And it's not just about making, it is about making, but fundamentally it is about practicing in your life. So it's a very, very long-term investment. If nobody practices Bhagavad Gita to make a presentation, that's just a byproduct. But when you practice it in your life, then sharing with others comes naturally. So that's one thing, practice, and then, of course, depth of knowledge, mastery over the content. It, again, not for the sake of presenting, but for one's own conviction, one need to master the content so that one is clear, why am I doing this? One's time is very precious. So before you invest your time in bhakti, I at least feel like my time is precious and I want to be convinced that this is the right investment of my time, and therefore gaining expertise over the content for me is very important because I really care about my time and where I invest it. So all that goes towards building that conviction and also clarifying doubts that come in my mind. And then out of both of these things, out of application and mastering over the content, sharing becomes a byproduct. So I could see that in all the cases today. Any other devotees want to say anything? Okay, so we will stop here. Thank you, Ragatmika Mataji, for the very nice presentation. And we will resume next week with more student presentations. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.